listen to the echo.
The Focus is obliterated on impact. Only the rear end escapes total destruction. And the passengers? Don't ask.
God, the hairs on the back of my neck are sharp as nails.
The car decelerates from 120 miles an hour to 0 in 68 milliseconds, with its occupants experiencing peaks of 400 G. The front end hits the wall with such force that the back end rises up 90 degrees and the car is slam-dunked down onto its nose.
The truck is stopped dead. Though the cab and a shower of debris carries on forward, there's no way it would be going anywhere after this. The bollard is enveloped in wreckage, but how has it taken the impact? Amazingly, it looks totally intact. Even more amazingly, it still works. The test is a complete success. A direct hit, and it was as spectacular as my worst fears. So it looks like the car's hit the concrete and then the barrier. But rather than protecting you against the sign, what the barrier's done is actually just flip the car straight up into the sign. And on hitting the ground, the car's thrown over violently, making this a particularly unpleasant way to crash. The consequences will be even worse with a bridge parapet rather than a sign behind the barrier.
There would have been no survivors. Airbags would not have helped.
Both cars seem to have suffered horrendous damage, but if you look more closely at the structures, differences begin to emerge. Here on the Espace, this beam here is connected to a crash member. As you can see on the passenger side, it's still relatively intact, but if you move over onto the driver's side, we see it's crushed, absorbing the energy of the impact. And not only has it absorbed the energy, it's also sent it through the A-pillar and along the sills, which has deflected it away from the passenger compartment, which has stayed relatively intact. So it looks as though the driver has had room to survive. But if you look at the Discovery, it's behaved very differently. The chassis on the Discovery is actually stiffer than the Espace. Here's the main chassis member here. But all that hasn't actually helped the occupants inside the car. All it's done is deflect the Espace into the softer bits of the Discovery's bodywork, with the result that the driver has much less room, and it looks as though his chances of survival would be pretty grim, really.
30, 5, give me straight, make it. 40, 45.
From 70 miles an hour to naught in 1 second. The little Smart hit with such energy that it moved 20 tons of concrete, leapt into the air and rebounded to the side of the road. We didn't know what we'd find when we reached the wreckage.
Jesus monkey.
The overhead view shows how easily the very stiff Modus punches through the Volvo. While the nose of the Modus has mostly kept its shape, the Volvo has crumpled and half its nose has just disappeared. It's extremely hard to make small cars safe, but the Modus is constructed using very high-strength steel that channels the energy through the sides and subframe rather than the occupants.
That Modus has basically used the entire front side of this Volvo as another crumple zone.
80.